seemed like as we were traveling to churches to do conferences, marriage conferences, telling couples how to get along and grow together,
we'd get in a fight.
we'd arrive there to do the conference and we'd be in a big tiff.
Yeah, we'd be mad at each other.
Now we realized that we can't do this. People are going to realize that
Yeah.
the leaders are angry with each other, and we would
We couldn't fake
confess.
it, so we would, yeah,
We'd confess to
we'd
each
make
other
up.
and make up, but we just weren't getting to what was underlying the primary emotion. What was the primary emotion driving the anger?
Right.
And
And we weren't taking care of the pattern, and so the pattern kept happening over and over again, and
because
we had to get to the bottom
it
of
was
it.
just anger that we dealt with. We'd
Yeah,
apologize for the anger, and
but not for what was truly happening. So we had to review it. That's your first step, is when you're calm, cool, and collected, not during the fight, but when you're calm, cool, and collected, you start to review what happens.
it's almost impossible to do when you're really emotionally
Oh,
involved
yeah.
in.
Completely impossible to do. But you can review it when you're calm, cool, and collected. And that's what we started to do. And we thought, say, when does this happen? It happens when we're in the car
Oh,
and we're traveling. And oh, wait a minute. It happens when I'm driving, not when you're driving. That's a
yeah, we
clue.
weren't fighting when I was driving,
Just when I was driving.
and I
Oh,
was telling
yeah.
her how to drive.
Yeah. Get around this truck. Do this. There's the exit. You're going too slow. Speed up a little bit. So he'd be telling me how to drive, and we had to figure out, well, what was underneath? What was the primary emotion? Hurt, fear, or frustration with you telling me how to
And see,
drive?
if she was telling me how to drive, it would be frustration because I would just be frustrated with it, and I would the resulting
Yeah, but
secondary.
but you telling me how to drive, that was hurting my feelings because it was like you thought I was a doofus driver, and I'm not a doofus driver. And so I would think when you would tell me how to drive, I would think, what right do you have to tell me how to drive? I mean, I'm a better driver than you, and you're hurting my feelings.
And it made her angry, the secondary emotion. See, we had to get to the primary emotion that
Right.
was driving it.
And to
And
me, it was hurt.
and she just outright asked me as we were moving from reviewing to rehearsing, after, the part of the review is understanding why. Uh, if it was hurt, uh, did I want to hurt her? And she asked me, do you really want to hurt me, honey? And I said, no, I don't. And let's move to the second phase of this, the rehearse part, because if I really didn't want to hurt her, what could we do differently so that I didn't hurt her?
Right. And so then we thought, well, how could we handle this differently? And so I suggested, okay, when you see something, because this is a big habit with you, but when you see something that you want me to do differently while I'm driving, if you will ask me first, do you want my help? And then I can say, yes, because sometimes I do need your help. But I also had the right to say, no, thank you, and then you would have to put a sock in it, right?
I didn't think that was a very good idea.
I thought it was a great
I didn't think it
idea.
would ever work either. But I agreed to try it, and
So we rehearsed it.
we rehearsed it, and
You
then
learn to say, do you want my help?
help. But it didn't come easily, and what happened
No.
was the next trip I would be telling her how to drive again, and then I would realize what was happening, and I'd say, "Oh, do you want my help?" And see, she would say, "No, thank you." But see, I had already told her,
Yeah.
but she'd realized that I was at least trying.
Yeah. And I knew he didn't want to hurt me, and he was trying, and so kind of failing miserably. And it just struck me funny. And we'd end up laughing about it because we knew what was happening. We knew what was going on, you see.
So what used to be a real source of
Yeah,
contention and anger, uh, anger event
yeah,
in our lives became a source of humor.
yeah.
uh, I would keep trying and failing often, and she would
Say
say,
no, thank
"No,
you.
thank you." And I threatened to give up on this several times. She said, "Well, no, you're getting better, and look,
And
we're
he did.
laughing at
He got better
it."
at it, and now he's really pretty good at it. But it's just we kept trying that, and it did work. But you know what? Even if it hadn't worked, even if it had failed miserably, we could have gone back to the drawing board and said, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. The biggest thing is when you review and rehearse it together, then you realize what's happening in those scenarios and you know you can do something about it. It doesn't have to have power over you. You can have power over it. And that's what review and rehearse gives you. It gives you a power tool.